Hey guys, we have arrived. I am at my 1 year post GLP-1 check-in. I know this milestone is kind of important because a lot of studies say that you can't maintain after a GLP-1. My story is that I did compound tirzepatide for 6 months. I reached my goal weight. I lost around 35 pounds and I have kept off all of the weights for a year. In this video, I'm going to talk about my unique GLP-1 journey, some of the decisions I made, why I think I am able to maintain, and answer some questions. This is the short version of my GLP-1 journey. The vibe around GLP-1s has changed so much since I started my GLP-1 weight loss. It's been, I guess, 18 months-ish now since I started my GLP-1. And at the time when I started, it was mainly a thing just for people with obesity, or targeted mainly just for people with obesity. And people were starting to talk more about it for people who were just situationally overweight and for people who had other chronic health conditions that GLP-1s can help. So it was beginning to be more of a topic, but originally they were very much targeted, very much just for people with diabetes and people with chronic obesity. And the discussion was just kind of starting to change, particularly with the compounds being available. So there's compound semaglutide and compound tirzepatide available. I recommend using Join Fridays. They are a fabulous telehealth. The compounds typically, one, are more available. You're not gonna have to worry about shortages, and they're usually much more affordable. So semaglutide is the active ingredient in Ozempic and Wegovy. Tirzepatide is the active ingredient in Mounjaro and Zepbound. I did compound tirzepatide. It can lead to a little more weight loss, a little quicker weight loss, have a little less side effects. Both compound semaglutide and tirzepatide and name brand Wegovy and Zepbound are great options too. So my situation was, after I had had my second baby, I had 2 babies in 2 years and had long breastfeeding journeys on them. And I was someone who grew up prioritizing my health, but over my childbearing years, that just really went to the wayside. I had really sick pregnancies, and then I was breastfeeding, and then I had another baby, and I was overwhelmed with a baby and a toddler, and I just wasn't prioritizing my health during my pregnancy and breastfeeding, and just exhaustion. I was eating not great, a lot of processed food, a lot of carbs, and I was kind of craving that food, and I couldn't kind of break the cravings, and I wasn't prioritizing exercise as much as I could because I was so exhausted by being a young mom. And I tried several times for several months to lose weight. I was clinically overweight, not obese, but clinically overweight, and that's something that I really hadn't been for most of my life, but I was stuck there. My BMI was around 27, which was odd for me. So before my childbearing years, more like 24 or 23 would be a normal BMI for me. I also have a heart condition, so it's extra not great to hold on to extra weight. So I started looking into GLP-1 therapies after struggling and not having success, trying to change my diet and exercise routine. I would lose like a couple of pounds and then gain them right back. And I was really struggling with cravings for that unhealthy food that I had gotten used to over the past few years, and just kind of lack of motivation to exercise, even though I was trying to. There was a lot of discussion around this time around GLP-1s, particularly Ozempic. At that time, everybody was talking about celebrities on Ozempic, and I decided to look into this. Like, what is this? Could it help me? And so as I found out, GLP-1s, yes, they're fabulous for weight loss. They even have a lot of heart health benefits. They're definitely huge weight loss benefits. And I thought this could really help me. And so I did discuss it with my cardiologist particularly. He was all for me doing it and trying to lose some weight, and felt like it was a safe option. I also talked about it with my OB/GYN because I was having some hormonal issues. He also thought it was a good idea. The telehealth Join Fridays was really easy to use. You get a vial and you just inject yourself, which sounds a little scary, but it's no big deal. It's a tiny little needle. I started at the 2.5 dose of compound tirzepatide, which is the starting dose. And instantly, within the first week, I lost several pounds. My face was thinner. You can tell the inflammation went down. The cravings were gone. So I was able to just eat healthy foods. I was also able to start intermittent fasting. I would say the GLP-1 just made everything easier. I woke up and didn't really think about food. And so when I realized it was time to eat, I would make myself a really healthy meal, be very satisfied, and not have the urge to snack. And I always easily did a 14 to 16 hour intermittent fasting window. And I also was just more motivated to exercise. I was eating really healthy foods, which I think made me want to exercise more. I was also encouraged to adapt a high protein diet. People on GLP-1s are usually encouraged to adapt a high protein diet, which is great for your body and for your hormones. And I was also encouraged to do strength training, which I realized was something I was maybe doing wrong in my weight loss journey. I was mainly focusing on cardio, and cardio is good for weight loss. It can help you lose weight, but it doesn't really help improve your overall metabolism. Adding to strength training really improved my overall metabolism. So I feel like right away I was using my GLP-1 to totally change my habits. It was such a great tool to change my habits. I decided to stay on that 2.5 dose for 3 more months because I kept steadily losing weight. I think a combination of the GLP-1 and the lifestyle changes. When I hit my goal weight of minus 30 pounds, I decided I was going to wean off of it. Now, there wasn't a ton of research about what happens when you get off of it. So a lot of people are saying I'd gain it all back, but I knew that I had changed my lifestyle so much during my time on my GLP-1. I also knew that I didn't necessarily have chronic obesity or chronic diabetes, which most of those studies that said you can't maintain it, usually it was people with chronic obesity or diabetes. So I knew my story was a little different. And so I was like, you know what, I want to try to get off. Just, I feel like with any medication, if you don't need to be on it, then maybe get off of it, but talk to your doctor or whatever. And like, if you're long-term on a GLP-1, I think that's great too. There are some medications like for my heart that I'm going to be long-term on. This one I didn't know that I needed to, so I decided to try to get off. So, but I knew I didn't want to do cold turkey. I felt like that would be very shocking, to like have all the hunger come back. I wanted my body to kind of ease into it. So I dropped to like a 1.5 dose. For me, that was like 15 units when I was taking 25 units. And I was hungrier, but I still feel like I had a little bit of help with satiety and lack of cravings. And I did that for a month. And then I did every other week of that 1.5 dose. And that's time I felt like I had a little help the week I would do it and was pretty on my own the week I didn't, the week I skipped. And I would say that week I was hungrier, but I wasn't overwhelming. I wasn't consumed by cravings or consumed by foods. I kept up my lifestyle changes, a high protein, healthy diet, regular strength training, and I felt good and not overwhelmed by hunger or cravings. Like, it didn't all come back. I think because I had changed my lifestyle so much over those 6 months, and I had changed my diet so much over those 6 months, I wasn't craving that not healthy food anymore because I hadn't been eating like that. So I was completely off of it after 6 months, and pretty much the same. I did pretty well with it. I tried to still do 14 to 16 hours of intermittent fasting. This helps with insulin resistance and also helps you just kind of eat less. Like, if you're only eating in a specific window, you're going to eat less. So like, instead of eat breakfast the second I wake up, eat a snack, eat lunch, eat a snack, eat dinner, eat a snack, I'm only eating like 3 times a day versus if I was eating all day, I might eat like 5 or 6 times a day. So intermittent fasting just kind of helps. Intermittent fasting has just had like a lot of benefits for me, and I don't do like a big intermittent fast. Just, I always make sure I have like 14 to 16 hours. I will say the cravings is hardest around my cycle. So if I'm about to start my period or just started my period, I'm way hungrier and I am craving chocolate and sugar. So I try to reel it in as much as I can. But if I'm going to have off days, it's going to be around there. And then I just try to like get back to it as soon as I can. A couple months off of the Tirzepatide, I did get on Wellbutrin. I got on Wellbutrin for a few different reasons. And one happy benefit of Wellbutrin is that it can have some appetite suppression. And I do feel like it did for me. I was maintaining before I got on Wellbutrin, but I feel like Wellbutrin did make it a little bit easier for me. On Wellbutrin, I feel like I'm just a little less snacky. The food noise wasn't overwhelming when I got off my GLP-1, but I did have it. And the Wellbutrin like brought it down a little bit. And I feel like overall Wellbutrin has been good for food noise and satiety and just kind of appetite control, not as much at all as a GLP-1, but I feel like I have had like that little bit of help from Wellbutrin, and I want to be honest about that. Getting on Wellbutrin, maintaining a high protein healthy diet, intermittent fasting, regular exercise with strength training. The strength training is usually like once a week, a whole body weight routine, once or twice a week, Pilates, and then cardio days throughout that. I try to at least work out like 5 or 6 days a week, if not 7. I will say also my kids got bigger, so it became a little bit easier to spend a little more time making meals, and I could take them to the gym and put them in the kid watch room. Like that piece also helps. I get it if you're like a mom like in the thick of it with like a little baby and a toddler, it's really hard. Let's answer a couple of my most common questions. A big one is, why didn't you just do diet and exercise? And I actually did. I want to say I tried to just lose weight and get to a healthier state with diet and exercise for maybe like 6 months, and I just wasn't losing weight. I was trying really hard and getting frustrated. I would eat really clean for a couple days, and then the cravings would take over, or the food noise would take over. I had really bad food noise. I think that means I would just kind of think about food all the time and kind of obsess about food. I think I was using food as like a comfort during the stressful young mom years. Anyway, I did try, and I would lose a few pounds and then gain it back, and lose a few pounds and gain it back. And I knew I was in an unhealthy state, and I did want to prioritize my health and be the healthiest version of me I can. And I am someone who is all about modern medicine and using science to improve my health. I do like holistic things too, but I'm by no means like anti-prescription medicine or anything like that. So I was very open and wanted to hear about the discussion around GLP-1s. And after talking to my specific doctors, I decided that's something I wanted to try. And I'm so glad I did, because it really helped me get my body and my hormones into such a healthier state, and I was able to maintain off of it. The next common question is, why didn't I stay on it long term? And I did already kind of touch on this, but mainly because I kind of felt like I didn't need it long term, because I was able to use the GLP-1 as a tool to totally change my habits and get my diet in a better place, and get my exercise in a better place, and heal my relationship with food. Honestly, I was using food so much as a dopamine comfort. And when I was on my GLP-1, I kind of was like aware that I was doing that. And I tried to make food more about fuel and less about like comfort. And I just recognized that my body seemed so much healthier, and I felt like I personally can get off of it. Now, people with chronic obesity, insulin resistance, diabetes, I know a lot of doctors want people on this long term, which is totally, I understand. Would I ever do it again? And yes, I would. I don't feel like I need to be on it right now, but I know that perimenopause and menopause, hopefully it's years away, but those are on the horizon. And I know those can make hormones and insulin resistance like so wacky. And I would be totally open if during those periods of life I wanted to be on like a low dose GLP-1 to kind of help me with those things. I would definitely be open and willing to do that and talk to my doctor about that. And if I felt like my health ever needed it, I would be open to getting on a GLP-1. For the past year, I just don't feel like I've needed it, and I don't see myself needing it in the near future. And the last common question is, did I have any side effects? And yes, I did have a little extra fatigue. I did have some nausea, sometimes some stomach upset. I pretty much, once I dropped to the microdose, the 1.5, not so much. But when I was on the 2.5 dose, I did have it kind of heavy a couple days of the week. Not so much that I like couldn't do daily life. I totally could, and I just powered through. But it did interfere with daily life a little bit. I would maybe feel a little sick 2 days out of the week, or a little extra tired 2 or 3 days out of the week. And that did definitely impact my decision to wean down and then get off of it, because who likes to feel like a little yucky a couple of days a week? That being said, I have no regrets about doing it. I'm glad I was able to power through those days. My body is in such a healthier state. But yes, I did have a little bit of side effects. All right, that will be it for my video. If you have any questions for me at all, feel free to leave them in the comments. I love to chat with people in the comments. My telehealth for GLP-1s that I highly recommend is Join Fridays. Use my discount code Madison. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would appreciate it if you subscribed. I'd love if you could give the video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.